So your friend who is new to D&D comes over and says, "Hey, I want to make my character to be just like Darth Vader." And you're like, it's a fantasy setting, but it doesn't matter. He just goes, weirdo. First, it's important to note, we're bringing a sci-fi character into a fantasy setting here, so things may get a little weird. To start off with Anakin, we have to go to the prequels. Anakin very clearly starts off as a artificer, accomplishing such feats as building C-3PO and working on his own pod racer. We get 2 proficiencies here, so we'll get investigation because Anakin is actually a pretty smart guy. He's not very wise, he makes terrible decisions, but he's smart. We'll also get Arcana, because it's basically the closest thing to technology we have in this fantasy setting. Artificers also get magical tinkering at level 1, where they can create small robots in effect. Nothing that Anakin can't handle anyways. At a level 2 Artificer, we get the item infusions. First one is Hermunky the Servant, which he'll call C-3PO. He can also make prosthetic limbs with his infusions, which he'll obviously use a lot later. And for the last one, I just took Perfume of Bewitching because there's no way this little twerp should be able to get Padme. It makes no sense, but whatever, he must have done something like that. Anyways, at level 3, he can get the Battlesmith archetype for an Artificer. First thing there is he can get the Steel Defender, which is obviously R2-D2, the most OP droid in the whole world. He also gets the Battle Ready ability, which allows him to use intellect for his attacks and damage. This is very important later, but even at this point, he uses the intellect to do most things, not his strength or dexterity. There's also spells like Prestidigitation and Mending that Artificers can use, but keep in mind Artificers use tools to cast their spells, so anything you can justify with his technology, he can pretty much cast, which works pretty well for him. Alright, now it's time for him to go up in Paladin, as he becomes a Jedi. The fighting style he'll pick for a Paladin is going to be a dueler, because he is one aggressive dueler, and he uses a one-handed weapon in one hand most of the time. For the Sacred Oath, he's going to take the Oath of Vengeance, and if you don't know why, go check out the Sand People. It's also kind of the beginning of his downfall. Lastly, he gets the Paladin spells, which, you know, he'll get like Command or Compelling Duel and some other damaging spells, which go pretty well with using the Force. He can also use the Catapult ability from the Artificer class, which also works with the using the Force, so there's that. And that's it for Anakin. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see Anakin's full build on D&D Beyond. So, you lost your arms and legs, and you're burning and smelling like barbecued pork. It's time to become Darth Vader. First, we're probably going to change all of our Artificer infusions to be prosthetic limbs for obvious reasons. The rest of the levels will be in Paladin. But how can we be an evil Paladin, you may ask? By becoming an Oathbreaker Paladin, that is. For those who know Darth Vader's lore a bit, you know that he was actually less powerful than he was when he was Anakin at first. While Anakin was nimble and quick, Darth Vader was strength and power. However, it is not his muscles that give him that strength, but rather his cybernetics, which is why his strength actually comes from his intelligence still. The reason this build works is because he can still use the Battle Ready ability from the Artificer class, allowing our intelligence to power our attacks. So, when we get our ability increases, we're actually going to have to invest some of that into intelligence, most likely, unless you get very lucky on stats. Alright, so, as an Oathbreaker Paladin, we get the Channel Divinity ability called Dreadful Aspect. It basically means that you can fear everybody around you. If you ever seen the beginning of A New Hope, you remember the first time you watched that guy was one intimidating dude. We also get the Aura of Hate, which allows him to add extra damage because basically Darth Vader is empowered by hate and revenge and all these horrible emotions. And also we get of our Paladin spells, which pretty much allow us to add a bunch of damage to our lightsaber abilities, as well as still having things like Catapult and stuff from Artificer. We can still pretty well mimic the Force in D&D. It's kind of worth noting that a lot of people will make a Sith with a Sorcerer class. The reason I didn't go with that is because Darth Vader lost his arms and he's unable to shoot lightning from his hands. It's actually kind of a well-known thing in his lore, so it's a little sad for him, but it made him not really a sorcerer in my eyes. I'll leave another link in the description if you want to see Darth Vader's full build on D&D Beyond. So, that's it. Be sure to complete your backstory by throwing your master down that big old sci-fi toilet bowl and flushing a few times. How did I do with our boy Vader? How would you have built him? Leave a comment, let me know if you found my lack of accuracy disturbing. Anyways, bye for now.